These stories are inspired by the actual case files of the Office of Scientific Investigation and Research.
Is that good? Oh, yeah.
Hey, kitty, you like my beef tenderloin, huh?
It smells great, honey.
Yeah, our new friend likes my cooking.
You're gonna feed that cat her dinner, are you?
You want to try some?
I think I'll wait till it's cooked.
Ditto.
I'll get it. Hello. Hey, Jeff. Yeah, I heard. I'll deal with it first thing in the morning. Tonight. Head office said the numbers were fine. Okay, all right, fine. Listen, come by and we'll go over them again tonight. Yeah, Frank's right here. He's...
Demonic possession. Occupation of an individual's soul by the devil is a primitive belief. Yet despite centuries of social advancement, many still appeal to demonic lore in explaining some disturbing and frightening events. Paul Tanner, software developer, gourmet cook, proud owner with his wife Kelly of a restored Victorian-era San Francisco house, is very much your modern man. But when the foundations of his life were shaken by wrenching visions, fueled through an image of the devil, everyone assumed that this force had set out to capture his soul. Was Paul Tanner battling an evil influence over the control of his spirit? This was the question facing the OSIR in case number 67102.
Get away from me!
Father, you've got to help him.
Mrs. Tanner, I've had very little experience in these matters. There's been no time to prepare.
I'm begging you, Father, please. We've tried everything.
We know your hidden sins. Father, we see through your lies.
Maligne spiritus. Listen to me, deformity, listen well. Almighty Father, grant strength to your servants to fight against this evil one. I command you, O evil spirit, through God Almighty the Father, through Jesus Christ, and through the Holy Spirit, that you depart this his vassal Paul Tanner, whom now you hold captive. Exi, Exi, Exi. Do not release him. The devil may just be hiding. Mrs. Tanner, this is unlike anything that I have ever seen. But I will do all I can to free his soul. Now I must talk to my superiors about this matter. But perhaps there is another way to help.
Connor Doyle, case manager, file number 67102, day 1, Tanner residence. Initial sweep reports no anomalous energy fields. Radiation levels are within an acceptable range. No unusual environmental conditions that would precipitate the subject's condition.
Perimeter secured, Connor. Witnesses have signed releases. They're ready to be interviewed.
Then let's get started.
All right.
I don't know. What do you want me to say? I mean, I know these people about 6 months now. They're good people.
Lately, you can sort of get a sense that it's coming on. But the first time that it happened, there was absolutely no warning.
Well, I'm not an official exorcist in the eyes of the church. You could say it's beyond my field of expertise.
He's like he's psychotic or something. I mean, he's screaming. He starts throwing lamps around. He goes completely nuts.
But it kept happening. And the last thing that I wanted to think about was that he was possessed.
I understand that when you enter a room and the devil is there, yes, you can feel a presence.
It's just horrible. One minute Paul's fine, and the next he's this monster that I don't know. That I don't know.
I have like a sensation that I've done something horrible.
With Paul Tanner, I couldn't directly sense this kind of evil. And after trying unsuccessfully to exorcise the demon, it was decided that we should contact your office and see if you people could help in this matter.
I brought him to the hospital to have our doctor run some tests on him. And he ran a lot of tests on him, but he came up with nothing. What do you do when you're afraid of your own husband?
I have no recollection of it other than it hurts. I have no control. I can't explain it. Could I have some water?
Case file update. The witness to the episode, one Frank Kelterborn, a friend of the Tanner family, will remain on site for the duration of the investigations so as to maintain a controlled environment. Dr. Corliss, OSIR team psychiatrist, continues with her psychological assessment. She will hypnotically regress Paul Tanner to try to obtain a clear account of the claimed occurrence.
V, W, X, Y, and relax. Paul, can you hear me?
His pulse is well over 80. He's exhibiting tremendous physical and mental stress.
Paul, remember, you are relaxing. Relaxing. Can you take us back to May 16th at 8 p.m.? Where are you?
My house. The living room.
Who is with you?
Demons.
Deformity.
3 of them.
What do they want?
My soul. They want to take me. Get away from me!
Paul, come back now.
File number 67102, day 2. Environmental assessment complete. Data pouch containing air, water, and soil samples being sent to headquarters for further analysis. Thus far, all baseline results are normal. Proceeding with on-site surveillance of the Tanner house.
His account of the episode is a delusional reverse of the other witnesses.
Could he be suffering ongoing mental problems?
I don't think so. This is more like a localized traumatic reaction to something.
There's no history of mental illness. What's he reacting to?
Background, archival, and field checks reveal nothing unusual.
What else is going on here? What about his His job, his relationships.
Well, Tanner's heading up a bid for a large software contract. It's not going particularly well. Maybe he's a nervous breakdown waiting to happen.
That doesn't mesh with his psychological profile. He's absorbed by his work, not overwhelmed by it.
So why the psychotic episodes? Sounds like post-trauma disorder.
Except there's no evidence of any trauma in his life.
What about Father Martin?
Well, although he's not an experienced exorcist, he did follow the strictures of the church closely. Now, apparently Tanner spoke in tongues, forswore all religious artifacts.
Does Father Martin think Tanner's possessed?
He says he's never seen anything like it.
Connor?
Yeah?
You guys better check this out. Surveillance cams, have them at Sector 9.
Turn up the audio.
I can't take this any longer. I think he's getting worse.
I know. And even if they can help him, you'll never know. Could still be inside him, waiting. It's kind of dangerous for you to be alone with him.
It's just not fair.
Kill the sound.
All this extreme behavior from marital stress?
It's a variable we'll take under consideration.
Regardless, I don't believe the combination of marital and professional stress could account for Paul's episodes.
People, we have a situation developing.
Sedate this man. Stop.
I'm on it.
He's losing it.
And in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Let's get him upstairs.
I'll find a man to watch him tonight.
He's gonna be okay.
Case file update. I remain very concerned that Kelly Tanner has also experienced an unexplained violent episode. Dr. Corliss's medical examination of the Tanners showed that Paul Tanner suffered a dislocation of his left shoulder during the struggle with the team. For their own safety, they've been sedated and are being kept under round-the-clock watch. Blood work from the couple has been sent to the OSIR labs. We expect results in 24 hours. Is this phenomenon spreading?
Hard to say. Classical possessions rarely involve more than one subject. Could it be a form of schizophrenia?
Not likely. The psych assessments we did would have turned something up. And we've basically ruled out psychological stress as a source. So, any possible transference of Paul's behavior onto Kelly doesn't track.
We need more data. Donner, keep digging. Remember, the exorcism eased Paul's pain earlier. At this point, anything's possible. Let's keep that in mind.
Frank! Can't leave the house.
Oh, come on. Just give me an hour alone.
I'm sorry, it's a controlled environment.
It's all right, Donahue. What's the matter, Frank?
Oh, I'm just going a little crazy in that house.
Yeah. Can get to you sometimes.
So how's Gilly and Paul?
They're resting for now.
Look, Professor, I'm not very religious, but this invasion of a demon of the human body and soul...
You're worried you'll be next.
I mean, if it's spreading...
The chances of a demonic possession being transmitted are remote. Relax.
Sure, I've heard things late at night from the Tanner house. Screams and things breaking. That is one marriage from hell.
What about strange lights, fumes?
We're talking screaming, okay? Hasn't been this nutty around here since the quake '89 when it knocked down nearly all the chimneys on this block.
Do you know the Tanner's neighbors? I haven't been able to contact them.
No, I've never seen them, sorry. But if you do, could you tell them to mow their lawn?
What are we looking for?
You may want to bring in a structural engineer. It isn't my expertise, but a neighbor mentioned shifting from tremors.
Still, that doesn't explain what's going on.
Do you feel the breeze, Donahue?
Yeah. Over there's a gap in the wall. Damn it!
It's a good thing you've had all your shots.
Who said I had a way with animals?
Hey, we're gonna make it through this.
Hey, Kelly, how you doing?
Exhausted, but we're fine.
Yeah, we're feeling better.
I'm glad to hear it.
Oh, man. Did I really do all this?
Apparently you did.
God, I don't remember a thing. When is this going to stop? I'm scared.
Donahue, do you read? What's your 20? Donahue? Donner, come in.
In the basement. Possible code red. Repeat, possible code red.
Stay here.
He just collapsed and started having a reaction.
Code red. Donahue's down.
Stay back! I can feel it on my skin. Oh my God, the sound! It sounds crimson, so crimson. It tastes too bright.
Ray? Ray, it's us.
Too red. Stay back! Stay back! It's got me too.
Case file update, 1740 hours. Still no evidence to suggest how this phenomenon is being transferred. Team chemist Sandra Miles will compare the Tanner blood samples with those drawn from security coordinator Ray Donahue.
I've got it. Blood work's back from headquarters.
Do you have an ETA?
About time.
Damn. There's nothing. There's no traces of any foreign substances.
Wait a minute. What did Donahue say before he went down?
Something about colors.
He said, sounds crimson, tastes red.
Could be synesthesia.
I'll run an ultraviolet filter on the samples. Sergic acid diethylamide?
LSD?
Exactly. Sometimes when you're on it, your senses can blur. You hear colors and taste sounds.
Why didn't we pick up the drug before?
It must have metabolized completely before our full tox screen caught it. You see, the Tanners have it also.
We relied on the family doctor's report for the initial analysis, right? They must have done a very basic drug test and missed it too.
It still doesn't explain the violent behavior.
If you don't know that you've ingested the drug, you can panic under its effects.
So they were having bad trips. Now we just need to find the mode of transference.
Oh, they could have picked it up a dozen different ways. The most common is absorption through the skin.
We should check everything in the house.
Well, if we use a UV illuminator, we'll be able to pick up any traces on a scan.
Let's run full environmentals on the house again. 0200 hours, day 4. We're undertaking a full reassessment of all environmental tests, but now we have a more specific target to look for, LSD. In its pure state, the drug should register as fluorescent on our scans. Start ultraviolet illumination. Okay, let's see what we can find.
We have your video feed now, Connor.
Moving through the front of the house.
We're picking up something to the west. That would be...
The dining room. I copy. Proceeding into the room. Wait a second.
Our readings have just risen substantially.
Affirmative. My readings concur. Looks like our feline friend here's the perpetrator.
The damn cat is toxic?
It makes sense, Ray. The cat could be the common denominator.
All three subjects came in contact with it prior to their aberrant behavior.
Looks like we found our mode of transference.
Okay. How'd the cat come in contact with the chemical?
Horoscope probe in progress. Visuals up momentarily.
Homes in this block share the same roofs, piping other structural elements. Shifts in the foundations from earthquakes and tremors made for some kind of crawl space, big enough for a cat anyway.
We're clear.
What do you make of that?
It's a drug lab.
Apparently, the cat found its way into the drug lab and was contaminated with highly concentrated dosages of a chemical in its raw, liquid state. Anyone who came into contact with the cat's fur was contaminated with LSD. Ironically, cats are unaffected by LSD, just as humans do not respond to catnip. The manufacturers of the illegal drug were arrested and charged. The Tanners have remained together and report no further incidents of aberrant behavior. This case manager Connor Doyle, closing file number 67102.
So the devil Paul and Kelly Tanner fought was not a demon of ancient superstition, but one created by pharmaceutical technology. Fear and paranoia, however, often coupled with a strong religious element, are relatively common responses to psychotropic drugs. A remarkable example might be the hysteria of the Salem witch hunts of 1692, which some historians propose was caused by the ingestion of ergot fungus, the derivative being LSD. Scientific investigation offered the Tanners a conventional explanation of the events in their home, but to Paul and Kelly, that there was a rational cause did not make their visions any less terrifying, any less real.
What a bloody useless waste of time that party was.
Now, dear, you've always told me it's the price of doing business.
Price of doing business. Next time I see that Ralphie Fennick and his stuck-up business partners, I'd like to put my loafer off his backside.
Try and keep at least one eye on the road.
Did you see that?
What?
Up ahead on the road. I could have sworn. Are we expecting a storm tonight?
The road, dear. Watch the road.
Mercy.
Who locked the door?
Out of the way.
Good Christ! The car!
Na crack them on and breaking war. What's your problem?
All right. Where be I now?
Are you deaf or something?
In the name of God!
Time travel. It's a concept that captivates our imaginations. For science fiction writers, time travelers are usually depicted as courageous adventurers, willing to conquer an unknown future or alter a troubled past. But what of the ordinary man, snatched from his own time and thrown into an unfamiliar future, there to be tortured by the loss of his family and tormented by a strange and threatening world? Within 36 hours after the discovery of a disoriented man in the English countryside, the Office of Scientific Investigation and Research was on site attempting to determine whether his ravings were the delusions of a madman or the desperate pleas of a reluctant traveler, a man out of time.
File number 10103, Connor Doyle, case manager, day 1. Subject found wandering on a road in Spotswood, Bedfordshire County, England. Preliminary evaluation by Dr. Robert Steen led him to transfer the patient to the McMartin Institute, a local psychiatric facility. Upon reviewing the police report and the subject's statement, Dr. Steen contacted the OSIR.
Professor Doyle, I presume?
Dr. Steen?
Welcome to the McMartin Institute.
I appreciate your cooperation. We'll need a complete list of everyone here who's had contact with the subject, the police reports, clothes, personal effects.
Whatever you require.
According to Dr. Steen's report, the subject is stable but confused. He can apparently communicate in English, but the dialect is obscure. Ms. Donner will have to identify its origin.
I've read Steen's report. This, who's he say he is?
Hanrahan.
Hanrahan. His story isn't clear.
It's quite simple. Mr. John Hanrahan purports to have been on his farm one minute and facing a metal beast the next.
Metal beast?
An automobile couple driving home.
The Boswells. Their statement wasn't very extensive. We'll have to talk to them as well.
Let's check it out. Hopefully we haven't come a long way for nothing.
Mr. Hanrahan, we want to help you.
I beg of you, whatever manner of apparition may it be, please end this horrid nightmare and return me to my rightful home.
Mr. Hanrahan, we must ask you some questions.
I will know and explain what has happened.
Donner, can you identify the dialect?
It's close to Irish, but there's something missing. Please, sir, could you slow it down a bit? Speak more slowly.
I want to know what happened to me.
We were driving home from Hertfordshire. It was rather late, about
Like something one
2
sees
a.m.
in those farm museums. I believed it to be a great act until he became hysterical.
We had no
screaming
identification
in
of
that
any kind. We did a background check on him, found no record of the man at all. No fingerprint matches, no missing person matches. Even did a check for dental records. Strangest thing, he had
Does make sense.
I mean, everyone has dental records.
He was quite consistent. There were several interviews. It isn't every day that a man appears claiming to be from the 17th century.
What is your name? I be John Hanrahan of Bedfordshire, sir.
And what is your current age?
I am 5 and 30 years.
Where do you live?
My farm be near the town of Spottiswood.
Date of birth?
I was born 5 April in the year of our Lord, 1612.
How did you get here?
I do not know that, sir. God help me. God help me.
Physiological tests on the subject reveal no trace of modern bacteria or synthetic antibodies in his system.
That's remarkable.
It's not impossible. If he's from a remote region of the Earth, his system could be this clean. Peter?
There's no environmental anomalies in the area. There's no hazardous waste. There's no toxic gases. There's no abnormal concentrations of energy fields. It's all clear.
Ms. Donner?
The subject's accent and speech patterns are unusual. It's not Irish, as it turns out. In reviewing the tapes, we've concluded that the speaker is either from a remote area of the Cotswold Uplands, or he has language patterns inherent to a Bedfordshire farmer from the 1600s.
Interesting.
There's more. According to local archives, a farmer by the name of John Hanrahan did exist in Spotswood between 1612 and 1647.
The subject could have had access to this information?
It would have taken some work, but
So the probability of a hoax remains high.
as we've discussed, I'm starting a covert investigation into the local homesteads in the area, try to cross-reference the archival findings.
Good. Dr. Hendricks.
He's still quite distressed. Repeated DEP testing was required to interpret his psychodynamics, but all the data we've collected so far backs up the subject's story.
What about regressive hypnosis results?
No luck yet. Haven't been able to get him to relax enough for pre-conscious state.
Do whatever it takes to put him under. File number 10103, case manager Connor Doyle, day 4, 0700 hours. Regressive hypnosis may reveal what happened to the subject on the night in question.
Tell me, what do you see?
Me farm. I must clear the path.
Why?
The tree has fallen from the storm.
When was the storm?
The night last. Good Lord.
What is it?
A light.
Tell me what's happening. What do you see?
Just like a pebble in the water, but there'd be no water. It surrounds me. Help me. Help me.
Please continue.
It has vanished. My house, my family is gone.
What do you see?
I'm in my field. But all looks different. Bright light. Where am I? Where am I?
We really appreciate you taking the time, Mrs. Lester. This is a very important project for the university's Historical Society.
Always glad to help maintain our heritage. The main house was built in 1809.
And prior to that, what was here?
Just farmland. Tea?
Yes, thank you. It's remarkable, Professor Doyle. It's him.
You mean you think it's him?
Point taken. Shall we maintain our cover?
Don't tip them off just yet. Find out what you can about the family history. Hold on. The genealogical trace report indicates the Lesters are the descendants of one John Hanrahan.
This is my daughter, Megan. And I found the family tree you asked for.
If I may ask, who's the rather striking figure in that portrait?
That would be Sir Stuart Lester. It was painted by a local artist in 1731. Sir Stuart established the first barley mill in this region in 1702 and was knighted by Queen Anne.
And who were Sir Stuart's parents?
Well, Sir Stuart's mother, Regina, was orphaned at the age of 7 after her father disappeared and her mother died of consumption. She was raised by an aunt.
You wouldn't happen to know the name of her father, the one who went missing?
Oh, he didn't go missing. He ran off, apparently to America.
Really?
Now, Megan, that's just folklore. The truth is that no one knows why John Hanrahan left his family.
He's exhibiting all the symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. He doesn't even comprehend what may have happened to him.
But he is starting to trust you.
Absolutely.
I got the lab report here on the subject's clothes and personal effects. They appear to be authentic, but not vintage.
What are you saying?
I'm saying the fibers match the fibers of the period, but they haven't aged more than 5 or 10 years.
That would be difficult to do.
It might be possible. I'm going to talk to Mrs. Lester myself, explain our situation. I'll try to get the family's cooperation.
This is absurd.
I know how this sounds, Mrs. Lester.
Are you implying this man is actually the John Hanrahan? That's rubbish.
There is some evidence supporting his claim. What might help is a comparative DNA test.
I've heard quite enough. I think it's time for you to go.
Please, think about it. Let's dig deeper into Mrs. Lester's past. Family records, conflicts, power struggles.
Excuse me.
What is it, Megan?
I must apologize for Mother. She can be very close-minded.
You understand that we are trying to help, Megan.
Professor Doyle, this man, could he really have traveled through time?
That's what we're trying to find out.
And that DNA test you mentioned, that would help your investigation.
Yes, Megan, it would. Case file update, 1900 hours. The results of the DNA tests of the subject and a possible descendant show a consistent match.
Well, here's this coffee you've become so fond of.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Mr. Hanrahan.
Sir, call me John if you like. It'd be the name my friends call me by.
John, what do you think of everything you've seen?
I see miracles and curses. I see evil men. And I see saints.
These are religious terms you're using. Is that exactly what you see?
Quite so, sir. I know now that I be in purgatory. Limbo to either the gates of heaven or hell's damnation.
You think that you're dead?
Of that I have no doubt. And you, sir, are my judge. To see fit where I spend my eternity.
John, I assure
Spare
you.
me the ruse, sir. I will do well by you, I swear to that. You are a good spirit. And you will show me my way to the angel's chorus.
But I'm not an angel. Or a saint. I'm a man. A doctor.
I can tell by the very glow in your eyes that you have knowledge of the vast unknown that is man's final journey. I know you will show me the way.
This is a current map of Bedfordshire County. The transparency is a map from 1638. Now, this is Spotswood, where Hanrahan's property would likely have been, and this is where the Boswells found him.
Was the property area covered by our initial assessments?
We ran all possible on-site tests. They all came up negative. You know, it would be helpful if Mr. Hanrahan could show us the exact spot where he appeared.
Run some tests with the subject present.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
John, we need you to show us the place where you found yourself after seeing the bright light.
I do not know if I can, sir, but I will try my best.
Thank you, John.
You be testing me again, sir? I shall win over your favor if it take 1,000 years.
John, you are not dead, and I'm not the guardian of the heavenly gates. Do you understand? We are... I'm trying to help you.
You already have.
Still reading baseline levels.
Thank you, Professor. Biophysical readings?
Blood pressure and heart rate accelerated, body temperature raised. All indicators appear normal.
This is my land. Me home. I built this dovecote with my own 2 hands. I know it well.
There's nothing more we can do here.
Then I failed then. All is lost.
John, wait! Come back!
Take me!
Come along, Mr. Hanrahan. I'm sorry.
All geophysical scans are negative. There's no displacement of matter or time in the estate.
Any theories?
Well, that's hard to say. Subconsciously, he could have transported his corporeal state subatomically from one point to another. Psychokinetic vortex theory.
What about corporeal duplication, a form of reincarnation? Through subconscious compulsion, he gains an ethereal awareness of a past life and synthesizes it into his current one.
We just don't have the evidence to support a scientific theory. And since we don't know how to return him to his home if he is from the past, we have an obligation to help him adjust.
Hanrahan is still suffering from some highly traumatic experience. Our focus should be counseling. I'd like to see him moved to some friendlier surroundings.
I'll take it up with headquarters.
This news should lift his spirits. He'll be only too glad to leave this dungeon behind. Do you want to lock the door?
Code Red, get a team up here. Code Red, over.
File number 10103. Professor Connor Doyle, final case log. An autopsy was performed on the body, supporting the theory that John Hanrahan lived nearly 400 years ago. Cell structure, stomach enzyme analysis, and blood count are consistent with that of a 17th century adult male. As for how he came to appear in our present, we can only speculate that he encountered a phenomenon which instantaneously brought him forward in time. This phenomenon, whatever it may be, remains unidentified.
They're good children.
Doyle out.
Hey, mister.
And your wife?
Oh, Marianne. My sweet, precious Marianne. She had the bluest eyes, sir. Oh, how I long to see me farm again. To watch me children play. My sweet Marianne. Will I ever see you again?
The Office of Scientific Investigation and Research discovered no conclusive evidence of how John Hanrahan's unhappy journey occurred. But if, as the work of Einstein, Rosen, and Hawking suggests, the fabric of space and time is one which can be bent, then perhaps he was unlucky enough to stumble through a compressed fold in that fabric. Whatever the reason, Hanrahan's tragic experience is a disturbing antidote to science fiction's premise that time travel is an exciting and glorious adventure. I'm Dan Aykroyd for Sci-Fi.
These stories are inspired by the actual case files of the Office of Scientific Investigation and Research.
Mr. Donizetti? Hello, you here? Mr. Donizetti? You home? It's Tyler. Got your groceries, Mr. Donizetti? Mr. Donizetti?
Stay here, Tyler, okay? Come on.
He's cold. Body's been here for a while.
What the hell was the old coot keeping down here?
I don't know, but they're not here now.
A harmless recluse dies in a small rural community. A strange chain of occurrences follows which terrorizes the residents. What, if any, is the connection between these events? Well, this was the question which ultimately confronted the Office of Scientific Investigation and Research in one of its most challenging and frightening cases.
Oh, Conrad, nothing like a little bright sun to clear your pounding head. You just sign here and there. Conrad, next time someone looks at you funny in a bar, just walk away.
Is that Mr. Conrad Paul Ray's I saw stumbling out of here?
Sleeping off D&D. He's got a doozy of a hangover to prove it. So what'd you get?
It's a preliminary for Mr. Donizetti.
Like it looked?
Suicide, single gunshot to the head.
So that solves that. What?
You hear that?
Yeah, what the heck is that?
That better not be mice again. Oh, jeez. What was it last time? Pigeons?
I'll get the thing. You see anything?
Uh-uh. no. All right, slowly.
Case manager's log, file number 99101. Doyle here, 11:40 hours. Concern for the safety of the Blind River citizens encouraged the county sheriff's department to contact the OSIR for assistance to deal with a complaint of purported snake migration phenomena.
This footage is inexplicable. The magnetic stripe is intact. No apparent sign of tampering.
Oh, I feel for those officers.
What's the matter, Peter? Not a big fan of the mysterious slithering serpent?
No, I don't like snakes, no.
LQ, any plausible explanation come to mind regarding the phenomenon?
Well, a family of snakes traveling together is common enough, depending on habitat, time of year, and so on. But the variety of species described here, moving as a unified group, it defies categorization.
Donner, you and Anton proceed with the preliminary interviews. See what the subjects are saying and if they all saw the same thing.
We've lived next to Thomas Donizetti for, must be almost 10 years now. But he sort of kept to himself. We seldom spoke.
Did you know about his snake collection?
Oh, sure. I just didn't realize he had so many, or that they were so dangerous.
He never comes out of his house. And I just wanted to make sure that he was okay.
All the snakes came out at the same time. They were like moving in a group. I watched them come toward me. They passed right in front of me, and they headed east, well, northeast, through the parking lot, and they disappeared into the field, all moving together.
A lot of folks are saying that the snakes are a ghostly manifestation of him.
But when I went down to that room, and I saw him lying on the floor.
I believe he loved those snakes. He cared for them as if they were his own children.
I didn't think I was afraid of snakes, but I guess I am.
Excuse me.
You found those snakes yet?
Yeah, Sheriff, what are you doing about it?
Look, settle down, all of you, okay? The situation is under control. We don't even know the snakes are still around here anymore. They probably moved on.
Oh, give me a break, Newman. You're as scared as the rest of us.
Larry, go home. We're handling it. There's nothing to worry about, okay? Excuse me.
Just calm down.
Sheriff?
Cockroaches, the snakes.
Professor Doyle, have you decided?
We'll be sticking around.
Good, because I have a town full of very spooked people here with this, whatever it is.
Anomalous zoological phenomena.
Anomalous, whatever.
This is LQ Cooper.
Nice to meet you, Sheriff Newman.
He's a zoologist specializing in herpetology.
Snakes. Specifically, the study of exotic and poisonous snakes and their behavior patterns.
Oh, nice.
Right through there. What was he thinking?
Well, he just had a unique choice of pets, that's all.
Dogs, cats, even mice. That I can understand. Poisonous snakes? Come on.
You know, he must have taken very good care of these snakes.
How can you tell?
The snakes must have been very contented. There are no tops on these cages. They wouldn't hold a hamster, let alone a snake.
What is that?
This is the recently shed skin of a cobra.
A cobra?
That's where they found him?
Yeah, he was leaning up against there with a gun still in his hand.
Since your left hand.
What?
It's just 12 years in homicide. I've never seen a suicide victim with a gun still in his hand. I'm gonna ask Foster to do another autopsy on his body. Hey, this is great. I'm finding evidence of more than 18 different species of snakes from all over the world. The desert, the jungle.
My assessments confirm that this phenomenon is creating some extreme phobic-related behaviors in the townspeople.
How's it manifesting itself?
Well, we have increased blood pressure levels and high anxiety.
Peter, environmental assessment?
There's no hazardous materials or toxic gases, and all chemical and geophysical analysis came up negative as to why a massive group of snakes would behave as witnessed.
But there have been no reported injuries from the snakes to date. Cooper, what have you got?
Okay. Here are the different species of snake we've been able to identify so far.
We now have evidence of king cobras cohabiting with rattlers, despite the fact that cobras eat other snakes and are highly territorial.
And yet the witnesses have reported this specific species traveling with a variety of different snakes.
Precisely. Now, in very extreme and rare cases, I have seen several different species gathered together to avoid a common threat, like a forest fire, for example. But as a general rule, it is totally contrary to their instincts.
Interesting.
All right, slow and easy, everybody. Snakes are very sensitive to movement and to vibration.
Handling an angry crowd of civilians, no problem. But a mob of angry snakes, that's out of my league.
Hey, don't worry. This is the hottest part of the day. We're not likely to run into the snakes. Well, let alone any reptiles.
I don't like this. I really don't like this.
C-Team, still moving through Quadrant 6?
Affirmative.
Anything to report?
No, negative. And I don't expect to find anything based on the present circumstances.
How's Peter holding up?
Oh, I'm just fine, thanks, Anton. I'm living out a fantasy. Walking through the forest trying to flush out an aggregate of poisonous snakes. It's a lot of fun.
Woo, Connor, look at this. Peter's readings are shooting up.
Donahue, what's going on?
I've got movement. Directly southwest. It's moving fast. It's coming right at us.
Visuals?
Negative.
What's happening?
I don't know. Something was coming towards us, and now I've got movement.
Axel, don't move.
Oh, Lord.
Doyle, I think we found them.
Cooper, what do we do?
Don't move. They're passing right through us.
Freeze it there. It's remarkable.
That appears to be a Burmese python, about 20 feet long. It's capable of crushing the life out of a grown man in less than 3 minutes.
Oh, man.
Come on, Peter. You have to admit it was kind of exhilarating.
Exhilarating? No, that's not the word I'd use.
Relax, Peter. You're all right. The team's okay. Let's just take better precautionary measures the next time we venture into the field. Why didn't the snake strike at any of the team?
Well, if they were being threatened by some unseen or unknown force, they didn't demonstrate any of the traditional warning signals. You know, the tail rattling, rubbing of scales, hood spreading, loud hissing.
So what were they doing?
They weren't attacking, and they weren't retreating. They were just moving forward in one direction. Sure, it's like a migration, but in a manner and a form like nothing I have ever seen before.
Case file update, 1345 hours. As the sightings of the snakes have increased, citizens of Blind River have essentially evacuated the streets and are remaining in their homes and places of work. On a positive note, our Bravo team managed to capture and safely secure a rat snake during a first-hand encounter with the phenomenon in a local supermarket.
This snake is not behaving normally.
What do you mean, normal?
Well, usually at this time of day, a snake should be basking, conserving energy.
So why is he moving so much?
I think he may be trying to rejoin the other snakes.
What's that for?
I've inserted a PE1 tracking device inside the mouse.
Ah, homing transmitter. That snake is gonna eat that mouse?
That snake could eat a tennis ball.
You're kidding. I think I'll just leave you to your work.
Hey, Don't go away, Peter.
What?
I need your help.
What do you want me to do?
Hold this.
You got it?
X marks the spot.
The snakes are here. They must have got in through that crack in the foundation.
Why here?
Let's do an immediate analysis of air, soil, and vegetation, see if anything turns up.
What the devil's going on?
Donahue?
Sir, do you mind stepping to the curb? Just give us a couple of minutes.
Well, the hell I will. I don't want a bunch of suits tromping around my front yard, not until I know why.
Sir, it appears the snakes have relocated here, in your basement.
The snakes are here?
Well, as a matter of fact, very likely under where you're standing.
Snakes are in my house? How could this happen?
That's what we're trying to determine.
You're not kidding, are you? What a week. First my house gets broken into, now this.
Look. All right, we found them. What's next?
As per our objective, termination.
That sounds good.
No, not yet.
The snakes are dangerous, Connor. They're a threat to the community.
Come on, guys. These snakes aren't a threat to anyone at the moment. There is no indication. I say we keep observing them.
I don't understand how we can just continue to let them roam around.
I'm gonna go with Professor Cooper's recommendation for the time being.
Good enough.
A pattern is forming. I can't call it anything except some bizarre form of migration path.
Meaning?
Well, Mr. Edmonds informed us that he'd had a break-in the night before we found the snakes in his basement.
And we've discovered several other break-ins that coincide with dates and times of other reported snake sightings.
Let's go back to where this case started. What are the events surrounding Mr. Donizetti's death? Why did he commit suicide?
Well, contrary to public opinion, his posthumous psychological makeup is presented to me as a very docile and harmless gentleman.
And since he didn't leave a note...
Sorry to be late, but something has come up. Our autopsy report shows the deceased was strangled prior to receiving the gunshot wound.
Murdered? I don't understand. I mean, Thomas was a little sideways to the wall, but...
Did he have any known enemies?
This is a small town. Everyone knows everyone's business.
You didn't know about Donizetti's collection?
Well, no, but there was a rumor he was keeping something down there. We thought it was his secret fortune.
Neighbor mentioned something about a break-in.
Yeah, we've had about 6 the last month.
Do some checking. See if we can connect this snake migration to those break-ins.
We have movement, northeast quadrants. All right, let's move in. Near Quick Bite Cafe, near Front Street.
Hey, hey, I thought I told you to stay the hell out of here. Hey! Let me in! Please!
Proceed with extreme caution.
Come on, they're in there. Let's go get some snakes. Come on.
Nothing so far.
We lost the signal in the snake's transmitter.
Acknowledged. We see him. It's too quiet. I don't like it.
No sign of the snakes so far. He's been bitten probably 100 times. He's dead.
What a way to go. I'm out of here.
We got a match from Illinois for the prints we found on the Smith and Wesson that killed Donizetti. Here it is.
Conrad Paul Reyes, age 24, history of misdemeanors, 3 convictions. Current address, the Blind River Morgue. Final log update. Thomas Donizetti was murdered by Conrad Paul Reyes. Reyes suffered over 300 bites, not to mention that several of his bones were crushed and shattered. His motive appeared to be money, and Donizetti's death the result of a robbery gone bad. Case manager Connor Doyle, out.
Over the next several weeks, the residents reported dozens of rare snakes found dead from unknown causes in the woods surrounding the Blind River region. Now, perhaps the old man's etheric life energy or some type of non-corporeal psi-interactive force manipulated the many different snakes he cared for to hunt down and kill his murderer. Then there's another speculation open to us. It may not be a scientific one, but it seems to describe perfectly the very heart of what occurred in this case. That Donizetti's snakes were acting out of love and revenge.
Well, everything's back to normal, Katie. But I'd like to prescribe a light sedative.
I don't take drugs, Willard.
Now, Katie, you're here all alone, and after all that you've been through recently...
I am not quite the wilting lily you seem to think I am. And anyway, Jeffrey will be here soon.
All right. If you won't accept my medical help, take some advice. If you think you're seeing those things again, you take that camcorder I gave you, and...
You still don't believe me, do you?
It's not that I don't want to, Katie. I'm just suggesting...
Well, I'm going to prove it to you. Now, good night, Willard.
Good night, Katie. I'll call you soon.
Jeffrey, is that you?
Who's there?
Ghosts and apparitions have been written about throughout the evolution of storytelling. Human experience provides a factual basis for these subjects. Now, research indicates most hauntings are harmless. In many sightings, ghosts are seen by only one person, the phantom's kindred spirit among the living. Catherine Cartwright misses her deceased husband, Robert, her kindred spirit among the dead. Is Catherine's love for her husband so strong that it invites him to reach out from beyond his grave? Or is her need so desperate that she has created these disturbing experiences herself?
Oh, Jeffrey. It is so good to have you home again.
Everything okay, Mother? You really had me worried the other day.
Oh, I'm fine, darling.
We have to try to get you out of the house more. Maybe the club for lunch.
It's you I'm worried about. You work too hard, just like your father. You really shouldn't stay up so late.
Don't worry, Mother. I'll be turning in soon. Good night.
Good night.
God, Mother. Again.
When did these episodes begin?
Oh, about 3 months ago. Her son, Jeffrey, called me. Said Catherine claimed that she was hearing tapping noises, strange sounds, and saw some furniture move inexplicably. He's very concerned about her state of mind.
Is she the only one who experienced this phenomenon?
Mm-hmm. Jeffrey was home at the time, but he didn't see or hear anything.
And your diagnosis?
Well, I discussed with Jeffrey the possibility of placing Katie somewhere where she could get more attention. Then she gave me this. She asked me not to show it to anybody else until I got a professional opinion. But after I saw this, I wasn't so sure that committing her was the right course of action. What do you think?
How's Mrs. Cartwright's condition since the incident?
I'm concerned. She continues to report these sightings, and in her weakened state, I mean, they're exhausting her. She very nearly died last week.
And you're saying no one else has seen this?
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep it that way.
And then I turned the corner and there it was.
Yes, I can feel it. But this spirit does not trust my intentions.
Madam Sophie, I hope that you won't mind, but I have taken the liberty of writing out a retainer. I do so hope that you will help me to contact this whatever or whoever it is.
Yes, I'd be glad to try, but we should arrange to talk about it at a later time. You have my number?
Yes.
Who was that, Katie?
Madame Sophie. She is a very well-reputed spiritual advisor from New York.
Katie, I'd like you to meet Dr. Curtis Rollins. He's agreed to consult with me on your case. His organization specializes in dealing with the unknown.
Oh, then you must know Madame Sophie.
I'm afraid not. We rely on a slightly more scientific approach.
I see. Well, Dr. Rollins, what is your diagnosis of my case? Am I crazy? Or maybe just a little senile?
Neither, I'm sure.
Last week, this chandelier started swinging. And this is another picture that keeps going askew.
May I?
Yes. Needs reframing. It's too formal. This was Robert's study. Nothing's being moved, of course.
You said there's been no activity in here.
No. Oh, my goodness. I'd forgotten about this photograph. It was Robert's favorite. It was taken 3 years ago on our wedding anniversary.
These are lovely pieces.
Yes. Yes, Robert loved beautiful things. Especially his carpets. He had them cleaned every year.
We did the upper floors already last year.
Case file number 44114. Curtis Rollins, case manager.
Day 3, Cartwright Estate. Covert operations established. Only Catherine Cartwright and Dr. Marlowe are aware and apprised of our investigation due to its undercover nature. Preliminary examination of the house and adjacent grounds where the subject experienced significant phenomena, specifically the northwest quadrant adjoining the structure, is underway. At 0900 hours this morning, interviews with locals were begun by Donahue and Donner.
Sorry, that's police business.
Come on. From one cop to an ex-badge.
No kidding.
Used to work homicide. Chicago.
Is that right? Well, listen, the last month or so, I've responded to a couple of distress calls up at the house. So they asked us to keep it quiet.
Keep what quiet?
You know, the stories, ghosts, junk like that. Look, we found nothing. Just a lonely old lady. I'm telling you, I don't think she's doing all that well.
Landscape architect, huh? Yeah. Once a month, they hire me and a couple of guys come up here and fix up the gardens.
Seems like a lot of work. Money must be good.
Well, you'd think so, wouldn't you? But you would be wrong. Cartwrights are about as cheap as they come. It's probably how they got so rich.
Think they'd mind if we took a look around, just for research purposes?
No, I don't care. Mrs. Cartwright might.
What do you mean?
Well, the old lady's going bonkers. I mean, she's losing her marbles fast, you know? I mean, she runs around here in the middle of the night. I mean, she's loco in Cabasa, if you catch my drift.
Well, the good townspeople have made up their mind about Mrs. Cartwright's state of mental health.
Psychological assessment of Mrs. Cartwright has been completed.
And?
Results normal.
What about the environmentals?
All baseline results, well within normal ranges. Chemical and substance analysis showed no contributing factors.
What about all the circumstantial evidence?
I'm taking that into consideration. Let's see what else comes in.
Mother, if you see anything tonight, please call me.
That's very sweet of you, darling, but not necessary.
Oh, Mother, I'll be in my study. Good night, Mother.
Jeffrey?
Katie.
Robert? Oh, Robert. Robert, is it you? Please tell me. I don't know me. Robert.
Take my hand. Katie.
Robert. I love you. No! No, Robert!
Please, Mother, this can't keep happening. I'm really getting worried about you.
It was your father calling me. Didn't you hear him?
It's just the wind, Mother, and your imagination.
You scared him away.
Please, Mother. Try to get some rest. I'll call Dr. Marlowe and have him come round in the morning.
Something definitely drew her into that room. Listen to this.
Robert.
The audio is garbled, but she identifies the voice as Robert. They must have been very close.
Extremely. We've also learned Catherine and Robert Cartwright both attended church regularly.
Indicating a well-established belief in the probability of an afterlife.
Maybe she really believes it's him.
Let's review her preliminary interview.
You know, it's a funny thing, but all these events started to happen on the anniversary of the day that Robert proposed to me. Now, who else could know that? I'm not a superstitious person, but I like to keep an open mind. As I was saying to Robert only the other... I meant Jeffrey. As I was saying to Jeffrey the other day, what if this isn't a poltergeist or something? What if it's a spirit? A lost spirit? Robert's spirit? Ah, well, I suppose I don't know what to think anymore.
After 50 years of marriage, there certainly would be an emotional bond.
Jeffrey Cartwright's booked on the morning flight to New York for a 2-day business trip.
As soon as he's gone, let's set up complete on-site environmental surveillance and monitoring. We have to see what she saw.
Okay, we're all done here. Thermographic and surveillance cameras installed on the 2nd floor.
Affirmative. We have visuals.
Analysis is back on the fiber optics found during circumstantial assessment.
And?
Well over spec. Whoever ordered these renovations was planning for the 21st century, and they spent a bundle doing it.
Have a lab look into who designed this hardware. And what company installed it.
Yes?
Mrs. Cartwright?
Dr. Rollins, please come in.
You wanted to talk to me?
You come highly recommended by Dr. Marlowe. But is all this really necessary?
It is, Mrs. Cartwright.
All this sneaking about, it's preposterous.
Mrs. Cartwright, my team has found some odd electrical installations in your house. Fiber optics, state-of-the-art conduits.
What are you trying to tell me?
What if this phenomenon is not Robert?
I felt his presence.
Then help us prove what it really is. Let us continue our work.
What do you want me to do?
Act as you always do. Let us do the rest. You won't even know we're here.
I hope you haven't scared him away.
I hope so, too. Camera 12 in position.
All right, here's the house. 2nd floor, east wing. There's the subject in her bedroom.
0100 hours, all stations check in.
Hold it. All stations. Sensors are picking up something.
Repeat, laser scan detecting movement in the southwest quadrant. Morgan and Silva, meet me in Sector 7. I'm going in.
We'll stay on the visuals. It's starting.
We've detected electrical activity in close proximity to the subject.
Confirming circuit surge. Standing by.
Team fanning out. I'm entering the location. Any change?
Something seems to be moving through the walls of the structure. Stand by for status upgrade. How's Catherine doing?
She seems fine. Vital signs are still within normal range. Still no visuals on the phenomenon?
Tracking unidentified movement in the southwest sector.
Katie, join me. Katie, come to me.
I'm coming, Robert.
Katie.
Wait, we've lost her.
What are you saying?
Oh, she just pulled off her electrodes.
Maintain visual surveillance.
Affirmative.
I'm inside.
Katie. Katie, come to me. Katie, come to me. Katie, take my hand.
Yes, darling.
Join me.
At last.
Katie.
Stay down, Mrs. Cartwright. Night vision disabled. Donner, talk to me.
We're getting strong thermal readings from your location.
How many figures on the scan?
3. Tighten the frame. 1 floor below you, moving fast.
Which is 20?
You just moved right past you, heading southeast.
Katie, come to me.
Wait.
this? I think I found the source. Shutting it down.
Take my hand.
Location secured. Donahue?
Target's moving outside. Security's on the way to intercept. Don't even flinch.
They've got him.
Thomas, it was you.
Local law enforcement's on its way.
Contact Jeffrey Cartwright. Tell him his mother needs him right away.
Right.
Come to me. Take my hand. Katie. Join me. Katie.
Damn wiring.
Welcome home, Mr. Cartwright.
Who the hell are you?
Friend of the family.
Jeffrey Cartwright. You're under arrest for larceny by scheme and aggravated assault. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. If you need an attorney, the state will provide one for you. Do you understand these rights?
Right from the start, you suspected.
When Dr. Marlowe first showed me your tape, I noticed how the camcorder responded to the light show.
When we saw the flare, we needed to investigate to be certain it was a hoax.
Mrs. Cartwright, I'm sorry for the way it turned out.
All for what? For money. Oh, Jeffrey. And I thought it was Robert. I'm just a silly old fool.
No, Mrs. Cartwright. I think maybe Robert, wherever his spirit is, feels the same as you do. A connection.
Final log, case number 44114. Our investigation revealed that Jeffrey Cartwright had rigged the house with state-of-the-art special effects. It was all controlled by one Thomas Rigetti, Jeffrey Cartwright's accomplice. As sole heir to the family fortune, Cartwright admitted under police interrogation that he intended to have his mother committed after breaking down her psychological stability. Case manager Curtis Rollins, out.
The strange occurrences at the Cartwright mansion had nothing, in fact, to do with the love Catherine held for her deceased husband, Robert. They were a cruel and malicious hoax engineered by her heartless and greedy son. So perhaps it is not the ghosts of loved ones we should be apprehensive about, but rather the darker motives of the living human heart. I'm Dan Aykroyd for Sci-Fi.